Let's take a closer look at NextMove. Every unit in NextMove follows the same clear and simple structure. The vocabulary and grammar syllabuses are developed starting with easy-to-follow guided activities, which then lead into more open activities in which students are encouraged to give their own personal opinions about the topic in question. Every unit is designed to stimulate and engage the student with motivating topics and tasks. Each unit starts with a context box indicating the vocabulary, grammar, speaking and writing objectives that will be practiced throughout the unit. This gives both teachers and students a clear vision of what contents they are going to be working with. There are 2 vocabulary sets per unit. The vocabulary section starts by practicing the vocabulary with a matching activity, in which students have to match the words or phrases to the pictures. This is always cross-referenced to a bilingual English-Portuguese word list in the review sections of the book, as well as to the corresponding part of the workbook where they will work with this vocabulary to get extra practice. Immediately after that, students are invited to do another activity where they have to actively look for and then say the key words in a picture through a series of easy, confidence-boosting clues. It's opposite the cinema. As part of NextMove's continuous personalized learning program, this vocabulary focus is completed by a more open communication activity in which students can play a simple guessing game in pairs based on buildings or places in their own town. At the end of both vocabulary sections, a brain trainer box is introduced to help revise and consolidate the key grammar and vocabulary through a range of appealing activities which address different learning styles. Students then move on to doing a reading task in which they practice their reading comprehension skills, starting with warm-up activities and then answering reading comprehension questions where they are asked to analyze the text with more diverse activities. The text may come from a famous piece of literature, as in this case, from a website, a magazine, or other types of reading text. The last task encourages students to pair up and express their personal opinion or describe an experience related to the subject of the text. Imagine you are traveling around the world in 80 days. What would you put in your suitcase? As with vocabulary, there are 2 main grammar sections in every unit. Part of the key vocabulary of the unit is recycled in these grammar exercises. The grammar activities are inductive and are always presented in carefully graded steps, again to give students the maximum confidence before moving on to freer communication activities. Grammar tables are always extended in the bilingual grammar reference sections in Portuguese at the end of the book. The pronunciation syllabus is carefully integrated into the grammar and vocabulary sections. Students get a chance to put into practice any related pronunciation points in a simple and controlled way. Another vocabulary section is introduced in this second double page to consolidate and extend the lexical sets being studied, and usually feature recordings of the words with listen and say, or listen and check type activities. The chat room section integrates key vocabulary through a dialogue that provides a real context and examples of everyday situations where students can practice their English skills with a listening and speaking task. First, students must look at the picture and answer the questions. They then listen and read the conversation to see if their predictions are correct. This is then followed by a task where they are invited to listen to the dialogue and read it again to be able to answer more detailed questions about the conversation. They will also enjoy and perhaps recognize the typical expressions British teenagers normally use in these sorts of situations, and of course want to use them themselves. Students are encouraged to act out the dialogue in groups, and are then given ideas for how to build similar dialogues with exercises that motivate them to act out other related types of conversations in pairs, replacing the words with their own ideas. This is what we call scaffolding. Just like when building a house, we make sure we give students a clear structure and support before they get on with the job of constructing something for themselves. This double-page lesson ends with a second grammar section. In this case, bringing in the auxiliary forms did and didn't, with extra practice to cover all the key aspects of the past simple. The third double-page lesson of every unit is a new reading section with a new text of a different kind, coming from a different source. All texts are recorded, but they are then followed by another freer listening comprehension activity. The key word box next to the text contains additional vocabulary that may be new or unfamiliar to students, and that is important for understanding the text and doing the exercises. The teacher can pre-teach them if necessary. The writing page presents a clear and achievable model with strategies and tips for improving writing skills. These writing tasks are based on experiences of other teenagers' experiences and interests, often from other cultures or backgrounds. As you can see here, the Remember box is designed to stand out from the rest of the page and appears in Portuguese, thereby acting as a checklist for students either before they start the writing test or when they finish before they hand it in to their teacher. With the help of these exercises, students should now be able to write their own text using the model given in the unit as an example. Students can review the 4 initial objectives, vocabulary, grammar, speaking and writing, learnt in the unit in the Refresh Your Memory section. The dictation box gives students the opportunity to hear and reproduce in written form the key phrases or chunks of language from the unit. And at the bottom of the page, the cross-reference at the end of each unit encourages students to build their own profile in the My Assessment Profile section in their workbooks. We think you and your students will particularly enjoy the last page of the unit, which alternates between the real-world profiles in the odd units, 1, 3, 5, etc., and CLIL sections in the even-numbered units, 2, 4, 6, and so on. In this unit, the CLIL History File section covers an area from another part of the school curriculum and looks at ancient civilizations. Other units feature biology, music, technology, or art files. This is a fundamental part of preparing our students to be proficient in 21st century learning skills, where they will be expected not just to learn English, but learn through English, as well as research areas for themselves, through the internet or other media, different aspects of the topic covered to be able to produce a project either by themselves or working collaboratively with their classmates.